We're also streaming from the SuperTalk Mississippi app. You can always find us, too, on your local SuperTalk Mississippi radio station, and you can watch us. We are on your computer, your mobile device. Just head on over to SuperTalk TV, and I encourage you to do that today because I'm not alone in the studio, and he brought things to show you. Joining me is James Lewis. He's the founder of Holy Fire Foods from Hattiesburg, Mississippi, and boy, I can already attest to you that they taste delicious. So welcome, James.
Thank you, Miss Rebecca. Honestly, it's an honor to be here.
I love how you said, how did I wind up on Super Talk? Because we met sort of in passing. You were working a booth at the Trademark Center during the rodeo. My daughter and I was there judging the crepe contest put on by the Egg Board. Then we went to make our loops, and you had your chips, and you were like, taste this, and I tasted it. And then you were sort of telling me a little bit of your spiel about like each one, and you gave me, I could buy 1, 3, or I think all of them. And I ended up going, just give them all to me because it was for my husband's birthday, and I got a card. So that's how you wound up here, Mr. James, to remind you of that. So is that how right now what you guys are doing, and primarily going to events and things to sort of share your Holy Fire Food story?
Absolutely. Doing events, trade shows, just getting out. You know, we're Mississippi born and bred, and the number one thing we want to do is travel throughout Mississippi, meet good people like yourself.
Yeah, and because you're also selling good product, and I'm not saying that just because he's here. I actually bought a load for my husband for his birthday, but I love your story too because, like so many other good stories that have made their way here to Good Things, Mr. James, it came by happenstance. It wasn't something you just woke up one day and decided, we're going to get a hot sauce company, you and your wife. You kind of fell into it. So share how you found yourself making hot sauces.
Well, that's absolutely correct. We talked earlier, and I said I worked at Tougaloo College. I'm an enrollment officer and a recruiter. Mm-hmm. But when COVID hit, we were all at home trying to figure out Microsoft Teams and Zoom and work from home in that manner. I'm really lucky I wasn't on national TV because I thought that camera was off.
You and so many others. Let me just put that out there.
So after a while and a lot of eating, I decided to start a garden, and all our products initially came from the garden. Actually, I tried to kill my dog, too, and it's a really crazy story because one thing led to another. One thing led to another one, and we started a garden, and from the garden grew the hot sauce business.
So from the garden, obviously you don't grow hot sauce. You have to grow peppers.
Right.
So what all was in that first garden for you guys, Mr. James?
You know what? Excellent question, because everything except the melons that came in our garden, we actually put in the sauce. So we had carrots. After attempting to kill my dog,
I'm assuming you didn't do it intentionally.
Dog's still alive.
He's still attempting. I got one of them too.
Yeah. So September of 20, we actually made a sauce, and from the products in there, the carrots, the tomatoes, the ginger, and all my products have ginger. So we took all of those that grew in the garden, the peppers grew crazy. Mm-hmm. My wife says if the dog hadn't been tearing up the garden, none of this stuff would have grown. So I don't know why you bothering the dog.
He was fertilizing it for you.
That's what she said.
And weeding it.
So we took that and made a sauce and put it over some salmon. And, of course, my wife and my neighbors, whom I love, tried it. Mm-hmm. And my wife said, this is what I heard. She said she didn't say this, but she said, if you don't put this sauce on the market, I'm going to leave you.
Very divine words straight from your wife's mouth, huh?
Well, I did like any man. I went across the hall to the other room. I flipped a coin. So.
Which one was it? Heads or tails for which?
Heads, sauce, tails, still
just
married.
Maggie, still married.
So, of course, I guess I won, mm-hmm. So we went and made a sauce and had to figure out everything. You got to have a recipe, and Miss Rebecca, when we cook, we don't cook with recipes. We just throw it over in there. Yeah.
Had you ever made a sauce before, Mr. James? Is this something that y'all had done, just maybe not with your own fresh produce?
Well, I like to cook. Cooking, I've been cooking since I was a baby, and that was one of the things I got from my mother coming from the Mississippi Delta, a little town called Drew. I love to cook, and I go in there and I make different sauces. I make stuff, just about any recipes. So the wife gave me some motivation, and we made the sauce. Now you got to get a recipe. Once we got the recipe, we actually tried to figure out how do you bottle hot sauce.
Did she think you were crazy whenever, because obviously this was your idea?
No, actually it was her idea.
Was it really her idea?
It was really her idea because I had no faith. I'm a go to work 8 to 5 guy, so I had no faith in a hot sauce ever just coming out of this. I did it because I wanted to stay married. She gave me an ultimatum.
So then you had to figure out how to do it. Did she see it as something that you would just give to friends and family, or did your wife always have understand that this could be a whole line of something, that you had something special there? She actually had the understanding that this could be something special. I like to eat. I'm a fat boy who loved the food. I had the idea that I could put this on some food. And hot sauce is one of those condiments that, at least here in the South, you can have a variety of different flavors to enhance different things. I mean, it's something that goes with all the different, it's not just one thing that you need it for. We use it for everything around here. So which one of those, if they're looking at SuperTalk TV, which one came first? Actually, this one. It's called a Genesis. The name of the company is Holy Fire Foods. Holy Fire is WHOLLYFIREFOODS, but we spell Holy Fire WHOLLY. And we do that because our ingredients are wholesome. And plus, we didn't want to leave out the spirituality. It came about because one of my friends, as we were talking, he said, well, maybe you should name it Hellfire something. And I was like, I can't wake up with that every day. No, we wake up with enough of it as it is. My sin level already above my head. We don't need to call it into existence. So I said, I'd rather have the Holy Fire. Yeah. And that's what we went with. So we do want to connect that up, know. And our original, which the name is the Genesis. Because it was the first one. It was the first one. So the Genesis hot sauce, and it's actually really, really good. What we did. How much has it changed since that first recipe? Since the first time you did not kill your dog and you put all the ingredients in a blender and you started using it, how much of Genesis of Holy Fire Foods is still the same? Wow, you must have been there when we were making it, because putting it in the blender and all of that, that's exactly what we did. The flavor content has not changed. When you go from making it yourself, and having to get it market ready, certain things have to change. So the flavor content is the exact same, but market ready, there were some things we took out. I suffer from high blood pressure, so I can't have a lot of sodium like anyone, that suffers from high blood pressure. Which traditionally hot sauce is going to be a higher salt condiment. Unnecessarily, because hot sauce companies count on, like a deer or a cow, they count on your taste bud wanting more salt, whereas I don't. I count on flavor. And so our Genesis hot sauce, in our recipe, it has only, like Louisiana has 200 milligrams of sodium, ours has 3. Wow, that's a significant difference. In like a teaspoon or in a couple of, what you call it? No, it's like a teaspoon. Which a teaspoon of hot sauce is a lot of hot sauce. That's a lot, because you don't use, it tells you the number of servings. So you're virtually sodium free. Right. I actually wanted to leave it out, but my wife, she said, if it's not broke, don't fix it. So a little salt can help enhance the flavor. It kind of gives it that little bit of that you want. You just don't need 200 milligrams. I use sea salt. So the sea salt has a stronger, better flavor. You don't need as much of it. And then all the ingredients have a natural salt. So everything that came into or was put into Holy Fire in the very beginning, the Genesis, all came out of your garden there in Hattiesburg? Everything came out the garden. Except for maybe the sea salt. Yeah, except the sea salt. Except for the sea salt. That is what sparked the rest of the line of Holy Fire Foods. So we've got more with James coming up next. Mississippi app, that is. You can always find us, too, on your local SuperTalk Mississippi radio station. And don't forget, you can watch us. We are on your computer, your mobile device. Just head on over to SuperTalk TV. We're continuing our conversation with James Lewis. He is the founder of Holy Fire Foods from Hattiesburg. Like so many during the pandemic, he started gardening, but yet he turned his into a full-blown business for his love of hot sauce. So out of your garden, though, I meant to ask, did you grow the garden specifically to maybe make sauces, or did y'all actually eat anything from your garden during the pandemic?
No, we actually ate everything that grew out that garden.
And then you got tired of eating it, so you decided what else do we need to do with it?
I made that sauce. And that's where it took off. And, of course, it's during COVID. So we had the computer a lot. And while we on Zoom, I'm on the other tab trying to figure out.
Because this is the part of your story, Mr. James, that I find interesting, because obviously you had somewhere in their spirit about being an entrepreneur, or at least your wife thought about it in terms of encouraging you to follow this. Because, again, it's one thing. I think so many listening have those recipes, sauces, barbecue sauces, whatever it may be, that they make in batches, give to friends and family. But it's another thing to take that to the next level, which is going to be, sort of a business. And you had the great name, Holy Fire Foods. So how did you go through the steps of figuring out, like, how to bottle it, what to do, and sort of like in step with being able to sell it commercially? Well,
that was a matter of Google. It really that's a great question, but it was a matter of Googling what do you need to do. You got to formulate a recipe. Where do you get bottles from? Which is an interesting story. But you get, our first batch of bottles came from Amazon. And how can you sell it? Well, in Mississippi, they have a law called a cottage food law. And underneath the cottage food law, you can actually make your product as long as you have it labeled that it's cottage food, your ingredients listed, and contact number on your labels, and have it properly labeled. You can actually sell it without having all the licenses and stuff. You just can't do wholesale, and you can't do out of state, which is quite interesting because the way we started, after we made it, we ordered 60 bottles off of Amazon. And now that we had our recipe, we actually bottled them ourselves, and it's a lot in the learning process with the bottling. And we knocked on doors in the neighborhood. Once we sold those 60 bottles, just knocking on doors, we were good. But 3 days after we sold those 60 bottles, we get a phone call. I live in Hattiesburg, Mississippi. My neighborhood is in Hattiesburg, Mississippi. We get a phone call from New Orleans.
Your hot sauce grew wings.
From New Orleans. And the guy wanted 30 bottles.
Wow.
And I said, I don't have 30 bottles.
I just sold 60 going door to door in my own neighborhood. Do you know which neighbor ended up?
I'm getting ready to tell that story. So I said, and plus I can't wholesale and sell out of state. I don't want to go to jail.
Over hot sauce.
Yeah, because there's somebody waiting on me in there. And they're going to ask me for my cornbread, and I'm going to give it up.
You can have it. And I've got a great hot sauce recipe.
So I don't want all those problems. But he said, sell it to my mother and father down the street, and I'll get it from them. He owned a restaurant in New Orleans, and I happened to knock on their door and sell them some bottles. And know exactly who they were. Oh, wow. And it kind of took off from there.
So how long did it take you how long at that point did it take you to make the 30 bottles? Like, you still had to buy the bottles, get them shipped here, and then make it. So what was like the turnaround for that?
The turnaround for 30 bottles at that time may have been a week, Amazon to get your stuff to you, but then I got to make it.
Right.
And 30 bottles to me was like a whole lot of bottles at the time.
Because you were still getting your ingredients from your garden.
Everything was coming from the garden, and for a couple of months. But by that December, we had to start negotiating.
Well, because the garden started to stop gardening, start producing, and so you had to sort of think about it in that way. As it grew, and did the flavors grow with it, Mr. James, or is it?
Another excellent question. Yeah, I love your questions because
the
flavors did grow with it. So our original bottle is very mild. the Genesis, is very mild. It has a ton of flavor because I'm a flavor guy. So as we talk to people, they wanted a little bit more heat, but I didn't want heat for the sake of heat. So we started working with some other peppers. And so we made 2 other sauces. One of them we call the Holy Ghost, which is probably our best seller. It's called the Holy Ghost. And the other one is the Holy Smoke. Well, they're made from ghost pepper and the Carolina Reaper. Now, what we've done different is the ghost pepper is roasted with the Guajillo pepper. It takes some of the heat out of it, and it leaves a very unique flavor. So all the ingredients in there are natural, and the flavor is tremendous. And with the Carolina Reaper, what we did with the Reaper pepper was added sweet onions, tomatoes, carrots, a variety of sweet peppers, things to sweeten up what's already sweet. It's just hot. But this is very tempered, so you can eat them easily. And adding that ginger to each sauce kind of balances out those peppers as well.
It feels like ginger is your signature ingredient that you said is in all of your products, Mr. James. What is your love affair with ginger?
It just was in that first sauce because I just didn't have I make this drink that we were doing during COVID called, we call it the holy water. But it's made with ginger.
That we all needed it.
It's made with ginger. But really, I think because of that drink, we just never really catch COVID bad. So we were making that drink made with ginger that was really good, flavorful ginger, lemon, some other stuff as well.
And doesn't ginger, isn't it good to like cleanse your palate?
That's right.
To kind of like, yeah. So
that's absolutely correct.
And it also helps balance your tummy.
And that's what I was say. The GI tract is good for that gastrointestinal tract. Ginger's good for all of that. People who have acid reflux from hot sauces won't have acid refluxes or shouldn't have
or
acid.
As much.
Right.
Muted.
With our sauces. We have not met anyone who has acid reflux. Our niece actually took it to her doctor and said, I can use this. So the doctor started buying it, So those kind of sauces. Now, each one of them unique.
Right.
Each one of them unique in taste, unique in the flavors are unique.
Who are your taste testers for this? Because it's one thing to taste the Genesis, but you come in and start bringing in whatever you call it, the ghost pepper and the whatever, and you say, hey, honey, stick out your tongue. I mean, I don't know if I won't trust you, Mr. James.
That's right. Me.
So you tasted it.
I was tasting it. The worst, the pepper that treated me the worst actually was the Reaper pepper. And after I saw a sauce called the Holy Smoke. It's really good. It's not that hot. On a heat level, on a heat scale from 0 to 10, it might be a 4 or 5. So that sauce, when I tried that pepper, it had me messed up for 2 days.
So you had to figure out how to simmer it on down, literally, and figuratively.
After night sweats and seeing angels and it was bad. Seeing angels and all that, came up with it. This is what we need to do.
Well, I appreciate as a consumer of it that you wanted to hold the intention of the hotness for the Holy Ghost and then the Holy Smokes. But it's not like, if you don't like heat, they may not be your favorite, but it's not so hot you can't enjoy your food. Because there's some hot sauces out there that you go to and you see, and the whole point is the fact it's just entertainment more than anything.
That's right.
Like they're just trying to make your taste buds light on fire, and then you can't taste anything that you ate in that way. And I didn't find that with either two of yours.
Right.
So,
right.
In that way.
No, I'm a fat boy who like to eat. I don't want heat for the sake of heat, right? Our hottest two sauces are actually made from unique peppers. The Trinidad scorpion pepper, the sauce that's called the flambeau, is made from a pepper called the Trinidad scorpion. The scorpion pepper has a big kick to it.
Where are you sourcing some of these peppers? Because I don't feel like they all grow in Mississippi, or do they? Or can they?
Good question. Absolutely good question. Most of these peppers can be grown in the United States easily.
I don't feel like scorpion sounds very American.
Scorpion pepper actually grown right, you really have to get it off the islands. And if you get it off the islands, it's going to be more flavorful. It's hot, but it's more flavorful. But I balance the sauce out.
Does your FedEx person think that y'all are strange, Mr. Lewis, with Mr. James, with all the pepper boxes and food that you have shipped to your house?
Yeah.
But there's also a barbecue sauce in here, which I have our family has fallen in love with. So we've got more with founder of Holy Fire Foods, Mr. James Lewis, coming up next. Welcome back to Good Things. We are streaming live over at SuperTalk.fm. We're also streaming from that SuperTalk Mississippi app. We hope you know you can always find us on your local SuperTalk Mississippi radio station. And, of course, you can watch us too. We're on SuperTalk TV on your computer, your mobile device, having a fun conversation with Mr. James Lewis, who found himself during the pandemic with nothing to do and decided he'd make a sauce company. Holy Fire Foods is the name of his business, which started out as a cottage food or utilizing the cottage food laws we have here in Mississippi. But at what point, Mr. James, did you realize that was no longer serving you and you could transition into a more commercial production?
Great question again. We actually, by December of 2020, we were getting orders. No social media. Don't have a clue. Still don't have a clue. We
So all word of mouth or people passing it on?
All word of mouth. And by December, we were getting requests. We were at 480 bottles a month by that December.
That's impressive.
That's insane.
Mm-hmm.
So now
your wife was right.
I'm up late at night. So February of 21 was when we decided we needed to do something. Mm-hmm. Either I was going to spend a lot of late nights, get off work, and come home, and we had to do something. So, because by February, we were at nearly 1,000 bottles a month, just all word of mouth, and it's still word of mouth. We still do no marketing. So it was at that time we knew we needed to get the nutritional information done, get approved from the USDA and FDA.
And then you have to make it at a different location, correct?
Well, actually, by this time, we're looking to turn it over to a manufacturer by that time. Yes, we did move to a separate facility, a separate kitchen to make it ourselves. But again, I have a full-time job,
But now your recipes are on point, so you're able to pass that along.
That's right. And then they have quality control is ours. We have to make sure it's the quality that we want. And so we actually got paid to have all the nutritional information and get FDA and USDA approved so that we could ship. And we've shipped to every state except 5.
Shame on them.
When we shipped to Alaska, it blew our minds. First of all, it didn't take but 3 days to get there. And it blew our minds because now we ship to Alaska.
Who in Alaska found out about you, Mr. James, if you have no social media?
That is, who in Mississippi found out about me? You know what I'm saying? In New Orleans. It just took off. People telling people. No social media. Now we have a website. You can order from the website. About a year ago, we put up a website.
Which is holyfirefoods.com.
Which is holyfire, WHOLLYFIREFOODS.com, which is holyfirefoods.com. And we have certain customers that say, when the new sauce come out, we want it. I hadn't even thought about a new sauce yet. So when the new sauce come out, we want it.
You switched up just a little bit and came with barbecue sauce. So where did the barbecue sauce come in?
Well, excellent question. And our last hot sauce is called the Revelations. That I'm through making hot sauces. And the Revelations is made with pineapples, mango, ginger, and a pepper called Scotch Bonnet. And it has some habanero in it. It is so good. It's fastly becoming our best seller, except for the barbecue sauce. Our version of a barbecue sauce, I don't really like to call it barbecue sauce, because it's different.
The only reason why I would call it a barbecue sauce is because it translates to people what you can do with it, right? Because we're very aware of where you put barbecue sauce. You put it on chicken, you put it on pork, you put it on steaks, you put it on the sides of things, or you marinate with it. And so, but it doesn't taste like a traditional barbecue sauce.
Right, and it's not hot. It's the heat level of ginger because we try to let that flavor come through. But the way we got started with that is I have a cousin in Florida, in North Florida, and he sells moonshine. If you know the law, by the way, have him arrested. So I'm sick of him. So he chased me with a pig. And as crazy as this sounds, he chased me with a pig, and we ended up, my aunt and uncle, his mother and father, named Lee and Mary. That's why it's called Lee and Mary's Holy Q sauce. I actually had a barbecue sauce recipe that they made strictly for themselves. That was really good. It was really good. Never tasted anything like it. So he gave me the recipe as best as he could. He gave me the recipe, and I went in and made a few adjustments, because you got to make adjustments for shelf life. Most people who make barbecue sauces make it for that second, you know.
And then it's used, yeah.
And then it's used, and it doesn't have shelf life. So you have to go in and make certain adjustments so that it has shelf life. Mm-hmm. And my stuff is all natural, so I had to make adjustments for that. And it's really, really good in that.
It's great on eggs.
Yeah, yeah.
Again, I was a customer before you were a guest. I bought the whole. You sold me the whole caboodle there, or as a package deal. Took it all home for a birthday present for my husband, and I've eaten more of it than he has. So yeah, the barbecue sauce, to me, it can go on absolutely anything. Herschel on our text line asked what your website was, and that's holyfirefoods.com, where you can order and it can ship from there. I do want to say, though, this is a great reminder for those who may have their home sauces, home barbecue sauces, that the cottage food law is really a great gateway.
That's
because you wouldn't have been able to get here without that legislation, because you couldn't have gone straight to commercial.
No. First of all, I couldn't afford to go straight to commercial. It costs a lot to get that information done, especially when you don't know. When you don't know, you end up burning a lot of money. Mm-hmm. People call me all different parts. They call me different states now in order to discuss establishing and starting this type of business, what it takes. I don't have a problem with it because we've had companies around for years, the Louisianas, the Franks, all those sauces been around for years, basically just compete with each other. But you have people out here, especially the ones I've run across in Mississippi, that have so many good products. I met a young lady that was selling nut butters. I didn't even know what that was, but peanut butter, almond butter, cashew butter, and tremendous business. And she was trying to take the next steps,
to sort of do that. Do you see, Mr. James, this being like on our shelves at our local grocery, or do you like staying kind of in the middle with the website, digital sales, or sort of that way, word of mouth?
Well, I love this process. Mm-hmm. The process of the beginning with the garden and the dog and the wife, and then the process of the
who are all still living.
Yeah, who are all still living. Who are all still living. Me and the dog plotting on each other, but we're still alive, both of us. So the process, and I'm going to allow the process to go. I would love for all of Mississippi and the South and the United States to be able to try our sauces and be on shelves everywhere. They are that good. They are. But this process has been incredible from the people. I mean, it's been the people really that have taken this to the next level, to the next step. I try to get away from level because I don't know what the first level was. So it's been the people supporting this, and in turn, us giving back as much as we can. The sauces, the original sauce was because I can't have a lot of salt, can't have sodium. Mm-hmm. Now I'm finding out, every day.
Are all of your sauces naturally low in salt?
All of them.
Okay, so it's not just the first one.
The Holy Q sauce, or the Lee and Mary's Holy Q sauce, has a little bit more sodium because of the ingredients that go in it.
Right.
To make a quote-unquote barbecue sauce. And to do it all the way natural would have been about $50 a bottle. So there are certain things that's in there that we allowed to stay, but it's still way less than most sauces.
Which I think is good for folks to remember when, you're talking about wanting products, or why product this or why product that, and it's the whole process and system and everything that has to be required. There's some hurdles that you just can't get jumped to find things on the shelf. Like if you really need it salt-free, you're going to have to make it at home and then use it.
Yeah,
and then,
that's right.
And then use it, sort of
That's
directly from there, because there are other things at play that keep you from being able to do that in terms of food safety. What's the biggest lesson you've learned in this whole process?
Patience, and more patience. You really have to be patient patient with the entire process. You know, you can't jump in and say, I'm going to be a millionaire overnight. To me, you're going to lose. You know, you have to be patient with things. And you got to be patient with yourself because you're going to learn. You're going to mess up, but you're going to learn.
How many times has your wife said, I told you so?
Well, she was saying that before.
Yeah.
Before this. So she's really been the key to it. I got to give it to her. I didn't really have the kind of faith, so to speak, that she did.
Since you like food so much, we'll keep you around, Mr. James, and we'll talk about what we need to put your sauces on coming up next. Welcome back to Good Things. If you're a fan of hot sauce, if you've missed some of this conversation, then you're going to want to go back and listen. You can do that on a SuperTalk's YouTube page not too long after Good Things is over. And you can always find it, too, in podcast form wherever you listen to podcasts. We've been talking to James Lewis today about how he got started with his Holy Fire Foods Company out of Hattiesburg, Mississippi during the pandemic. A garden led to some sauce that led to a business that's now shipping all over the United States with interest internationally, which, James, I think it's important to mention that you're also part of Genuine Mississippi, and you are working to get your products in the commissary for our servicemen and women. How did that come about?
Well, I got some orders. I got some requests from overseas, and of course, I have not a clue about any of this. But Lane Milton at Genuine Mississippi, I was able to communicate with her, and she was encouraging us to become a part of Genuine Mississippi so we could receive the services that they offer. Mm-hmm. So Lane Milton has been connecting us with different entities, like how to set up with the U.S. military, which we become a vendor now, and also with the state of Mississippi, you have to become a licensed vendor with the state. And Genuine Mississippi has been able to do all of that. And I really appreciate their efforts because I'll say 1,000 times, I have not a clue. I'm not that bright, for one thing, you know, and I have not a clue as to what we're doing. But good people have stepped in and really helped with this product. But that's how we came about.
So I'm looking, you've got 5 sauces, 1 barbecue sauce. Mm-hmm. You did mention that maybe there's a mayonnaise in your tinker hat? Yeah,
I do because of the high blood pressure issue. And I'm trying to, my grandchildren are really involved in this. You know, they love doing this. But I'm trying to outlive them because they already, my granddaughter want a horse. Nobody buying her a horse. So
she can have a dog. I know a dog for sale.
So there are other sauces that I make that I use for personal use, like a mayonnaise, a type of mayonnaise that I use without all the cholesterol and with ginger. That's very flavorful. Matter of fact, there's a restaurant owner in Greenville, Mississippi, that owns Hot Tamale Heavens. He always wants me to make him a gallon of it personally because it's so good. Man, you need to put this on the market. It just costs a little bit more to make, you know.
Well, that's coming down the line. Let's talk about the products you do have, because we got a lot of folks going to holyfirefoods.com to check out your products. Jeff in Oxford is very appreciative that the prices are reasonable, too. So thank you for not making $50 barbecue sauce. Okay, so if we were first-time shoppers, what would you... Well, you made me buy the whole... You didn't make me. You twisted my arm and made me. But it was easy to buy the whole package to bring them home and try. But if you were going to try one, or what are your recommendations?
Well, the first 3... He's right. The prices are reasonable because this is not a get rich overnight thing. I really enjoy it, and I want to keep the price competitive so that the product can get out there. But those first 3 are made for anyone. The Genesis, the original, the Holy Ghost, and the Holy Smoke. They're made. If I had to suggest, I'd say those 3 off the top. That way you can identify what your heat level is. And if you need something with a little bit more heat but flavor, the other 2, the Flambeau and the Revelations, have tremendous flavors to them. But they
while
have,
you're there,
they have
get
more
the barbecue
heat.
sauce. You won't regret it.
Oh,
So while you're there, get the barbecue sauce.
Definitely.
So what is the strangest thing you've put the barbecue sauce on? Or I guess maybe I shouldn't say strangest, because to me it was eggs, but and a baked potato. But what is your favorite thing you put your barbecue sauce on, or your sauce on?
Oh, my goodness. My favorite thing is burgers. I love putting it on burgers. It just fits with burgers because I like putting it in the burger. It's just juicy. But there's strangest thing, I don't know. I was eating some celery the other day.
No, that's strange, Mr. Jones.
I was eating some celery.
But that'll get you to eat celery.
It was so good. So I was eating some celery and put it on that. Now, my friend that owns the restaurants in Greenville, Hot to My Heavens, he told me to tell the people, he has a deep, booming voice. Tell the people to put it on fish. It's so good on fish.
Oh, I could see that.
That's what he said. Tell the people to put it on fish. So.
I could see that on fish. Absolutely, I could see you sort of doing that. Also makes great gifts. Again, I gave it to a birthday present, brought it back, took it back in terms of sort of me doing. But this is an easy way to support Mississippi, even though you don't have a storefront. You are a small business who had a dream. Could you have imagined when that first time you saw the dog digging the hole in the garden and it all ended to this? Did you ever fathom that you would be where you're at today with Holy Fire Foods?
No. I still don't know exactly where we are. We're just taking the steps. I don't think I can fathom was killing the dog. That garden, it took a lot to plant that garden.
You need to hug that dog. That dog needs some bones. So you need to thank the dog and your wife.
And both of them.
And both of them for this. Okay, that is holyfirefoods.com. Go check him out. Mr. James, it's been a pleasure having you here. Look forward to hearing about your continued success with your food line. But you guys stick with us. We got more for you up next. You got the boys with Sports Talk Mississippi from 3 to 6. Rhino and I will meet you back here tomorrow at 2. But until then, I hope you all find time for the good things.